At the quarterly review, my supervisor said, "You're technically doing your job, but you're not wowing anyone, you're replaceable, and I don't see you lasting past this year." He smiled and added, "It's not personal, just reality. You're forgettable." I nodded, went back to my desk, and spent the next 2 months quietly automating my entire workflow. When I gave notice, they realized no one knew how to do what I did, and my exit left the entire department in chaos. I used to work in Columbus, Ohio. Nothing fancy, just your average office park surrounded by strip malls, chain restaurants, and that weird smell that lingers from the nearby river. The company I worked for was a regional insurance provider. About 300 employees, mostly serving the Midwest. My department? Operations. I was a low-level analyst. My job was to keep things running smoothly behind the scenes, reports, data, updates. Stuff no one noticed unless it didn't get done. I started there fresh out of college. Stayed for 6 years. It wasn't a dream job, but it paid the bills and I liked the structure. I'm not the loud type. I don't do small talk. I'm the guy who always has headphones on and eats lunch at his desk. Quiet, focused, invisible. At least that's how they treated me. The work was repetitive, but I made it efficient. I built systems that saved time. I made the reports cleaner, the data easier to read. But I didn't brag about it. I thought the results spoke for themselves. They didn't. The people who got noticed were the ones who knew how to smile at the right meetings, talk about fantasy football, or crack jokes with the VP during lunch. I don't play that game. And over time, I faded further into the background. Then Brennan showed up. Brennan Devlin became our department head after Susan retired. She was tough but fair. She cared. Brennan? He was different. Early 30s, always in khakis and some kind of branded vest. He talked fast, acted confident, and had a corporate shark vibe right from the start. He made it clear he was going to streamline and optimize. Basically, cut what didn't make him look good. The first time we spoke one-on-one, he said, "You're a numbers guy, right? Great. Just make sure your stuff doesn't make me look bad, and we'll get along fine." That was my welcome. Then came the quarterly reviews. We got emails that our meetings were scheduled. Mine was Tuesday, 2:30 p.m. Just after lunch. I walked into the small conference room. Brennan didn't look up from his iPad. Just pointed to the chair across from him like I was a pizza delivery guy. He started talking without even glancing at me. "All right, let's get into this." He scrolled through my performance numbers. Metrics looked good. No issues. I sat there waiting for something useful. Instead, he leaned back in his chair, set the iPad down, and looked at me for the first time. "You're technically doing your job," he said, with this smug little half smile. "But you're not wowing anyone." I blinked. "Okay," he waved his hand. "You show up, you get things done, but no one really knows what you do. You're quiet. You blend in. Honestly, I don't see you here by the end of the year." I didn't say anything. I felt my chest tighten. Not because I was scared, because of how casually he said it. Like it was nothing. Then he added, "It's not personal. Just reality. You're forgettable." He smiled. A full smile this time. Like he thought he was being clever. I just nodded. "Got it," I said. "Cool," he said, already looking back at his iPad. I went back to my desk. Sat down. Stared at my screen. For about 10 minutes I didn't move. Then I opened my workflow spreadsheet. And I started making a list. Not of tasks, of every single repetitive thing I did each day. Daily data pull. Morning status report. Client email summaries. Data cleanup. Internal audit prep. Monthly scorecards. Everything. I realized something. Most of it could be automated. And I already had the skills to do it. See, back in college, I took some programming classes. Nothing advanced, but enough to know Python, basic scripting, and how to work with data. I'd never needed to use it at work. Until now. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't make a plan. I just started building. Week 1. I wrote a script to log into our dashboard, download the data, and create the daily spreadsheet I normally spent 45 minutes building. With formatting, headers, and everything. Week 2. I automated the email reports using Python and a scheduler. Set it to run every morning at 7:45 a.m. By the time I got to work, it was already sent out. Looked like I did it myself. Week 3. Built a cleanup tool that checked the client data for errors. Cross-referenced with internal records. Highlighted mismatches. Saved hours. Week 4. Used a template engine to make PDF summaries for management. Branded. Clean. Clear. By the end of the second month, I was doing almost nothing. But no one noticed. Because I didn't change my behavior. I still looked busy. Clicked around. Typed. Kept Slack open. Nodded in meetings. But behind the scenes, everything ran on its own. Then I went a step further. I wrote up documentation for my replacement. It looked helpful. But it wasn't. It was filled with jargon, abbreviations, and vague instructions. Run the Q3 batch using the CLI flags aligned with the DRI module. If the sync fails, validate against the legacy import paths. Sounded legit, but useless to anyone who didn't build it. I saved it to the shared drive under a folder called process_notes_draft_v2. No one ever looked at it. Then I submitted my notice. 2 weeks. No drama. Brennan replied in under 10 minutes. Thanks for letting me know. Best of luck. That was it. I walked out on my last day.
No goodviolence. No handshake.
Just a quiet exit. 3 days later, I got a message from Sasha. She was one of the junior analysts. Sweet kid. Worked hard. Hey Ethan, quick question. Do you remember how to run the weekly roll-up report? The file's missing. I didn't answer. The next day, Brennan emailed me. Ethan, can you confirm where you saved the latest client trend tool? We're trying to replicate the reports you were sending. No. Then came the phone call. I let it go to voicemail. By the end of the first week, they missed 2 major internal deadlines. A VP got on a call demanding answers. Sasha messaged me again, this time more desperate. Please help. Nothing's working. Brennan's losing it. I shut off Slack. A friend in HR told me the fallout was brutal. No one knows how you did what you did, she said. They thought you were just pushing buttons. Turns out you built the whole engine. They tried hiring a contractor. Paid him $150 an hour. He lasted 5 days. This is spaghetti code mixed with black magic, he said. The team had to rebuild everything from scratch. And Brennan? He got pulled into weekly performance syncs with the director. Then daily. Then silence. I now work for a software firm based in Cincinnati. Fully remote. More pay. More respect. I don't miss the old place. But I do think about Brennan sometimes. The way he smiled when he said I was forgettable. And how fast that smile disappeared when he realized he was wrong. About 2 weeks after I left, I got a text from someone I hadn't heard from in a while. Carter. He was the IT systems guy, the one everyone ignored until something broke. We used to get coffee sometimes before Brennan came in, and poisoned the whole floor. Carter never sugar-coated things. His text said, "Hey, I know you're out, but holy hell. What did you do before you left?" I didn't answer right away. I just asked, why? He replied, "They can't run half the ops reports anymore. Brennan's blaming Sasha. She's crying in the bathroom right now." That hit me weird. I didn't hate Sasha. She was just a kid trying to keep her head above water. She wasn't part of the problem. Brennan was. And apparently he was unraveling. Turns out, Brennan had told upper management he'd restructured the entire operations pipeline before I left. Claimed it was all his doing. His vision for automation and process efficiency. He even hinted that I wasn't adapting to the changes fast enough, which is why I was let go. Not the other way around. He lied. And the thing about building lies into your career is this: when the foundation cracks, it all comes down hard. After I left, the automated system started breaking down. Daily reports were missing. Dashboards stopped updating. Clients began calling about duplicate records and incorrect billing notices. I heard from Carter that the C-suite was furious. Executives started digging. They realized Brennan had no idea how any of the back-end processes worked. He'd been taking credit for my systems, but never actually learned them. Worse, the documentation. I'd left behind looked like nonsense to them. And it was. On purpose. Carter told me they tried bringing in 2 more contractors. One quit after a day. The other sent an email to the VP that just said, "Whoever built this system knew exactly what they were doing. Whoever's in charge now doesn't." Then it got personal. A recruiter reached out to me on LinkedIn. Said they were hiring for a role that sounded suspiciously like my old job. Even had the same responsibilities, same tools, even the same phrasing I used in the wiki. I ignored the message. The next day, I got another one. This time from someone I didn't recognize. A guy named Tom who said he was helping with the operations transition. He asked if I could spare 30 minutes to walk through a few key systems, just as a professional courtesy. Professional courtesy? I didn't answer. Then Brennan emailed me directly. "Ethan, I think we got off on the wrong foot before. I know you've moved on, but we'd really appreciate your help smoothing this transition. Just a quick consult call. Let me know your rate." Now that was interesting. I forwarded the email to Carter. He laughed. "Man's drowning and just realized he doesn't know how to swim." 3 days later, Brennan was forced to give a presentation to the executive board explaining the drop in operational output. He blamed me. Said I sabotaged the team with poor documentation. Said I withheld key process information and failed to provide a proper knowledge transfer. But the thing is, Brennan had signed off on my exit paperwork. Had even written that my documentation was thorough and complete. The execs pulled the email chain. Brennan had signed off without even looking at it. They started asking questions. And someone, maybe Carter, maybe Sasha, told the truth. That I had built every tool they used. That Brennan had ignored me. That I was the one who kept things running. That week, Carter messaged me again. "Heads up. T is going down." The company launched an internal audit. They froze department hiring. They brought in outside consultants to figure out how things went sideways so fast. Brennan stopped posting on Slack. Then his name disappeared from the org chart. And one morning I got an email from Sasha. "Hey, he's gone. Fired yesterday."
No announcement.
Just gone. She didn't sound happy. She didn't sound sad either. Just tired. I thought that was the end of it. But a week later I got a certified letter in the mail. From the company. It was a formal request to return any proprietary tools, data, or automation processes I had built during my time there. They wanted everything: scripts, source code, documentation. They were desperate. And they were trying to make it sound official. Legal sounding. Scary. But I knew the law. I hadn't taken anything. All the tools were still on their servers. I hadn't deleted a single file. I had just built it in a way only I could understand. And no one had cared to ask questions while I was still there. I replied with one sentence. "Everything I created during my employment is located on the company servers." And that was that. I kept working at my new job, building better systems with better people for better pay. But every once in a while I'd get a message from someone still there. Sasha telling me she got promoted. Carter sending me screenshots of emails where Brennan was getting roasted by upper management before they canned him. Even the CEO ended up making a comment at a company meeting. "We need to make sure we don't repeat past mistakes. Like building an entire system on the shoulders of one person, then failing to recognize their value." Yeah, no kidding. I thought it was over. Brennan was gone. The systems I built were broken beyond repair. The company was scrambling to rebuild from scratch. I figured they'd just chalk it up as a loss and move on. But then Carter called me one night. Not a text. Not an email. An actual phone call. I didn't answer at first. Let it go to voicemail. He tried again. I finally picked up. "What's going on?" He sounded out of breath. "You're not gonna believe this." "What?" "They're trying to pin the system collapse on you. Not just blame. Like legal blame." I sat up straight. "What are you talking about?" He said one of the consultants they brought in found something odd. Some back-end automation tasks were labeled with my name but weren't built by me. They were sloppy, buggy. Looked like quick copy-paste jobs meant to mimic my original work. Except they were created after I left. I was quiet. Someone's trying to plant garbage code and make it look like you screwed the whole thing from the start. Carter said. And it's not just bad code. It's stuff that overwrites clean data with corrupt entries. I clenched my jaw. Who? I don't know. But Sasha's been pulled into meetings with HR. She's freaking out. They're asking who trained her. Who signed off on the broken workflows. Your name keeps coming up. I didn't sleep that night. I knew I hadn't done anything wrong. But that doesn't matter when a company is trying to cover its ass. They had every reason to find a scapegoat. And since Brennan was already gone, they needed someone else to blame. Someone already out the door. Someone they thought would stay quiet. Me. So I called Carter the next morning. I need access. To what? The logs. File histories. Script metadata. If they're editing my work and trying to frame me, I want to see it. He hesitated. If I give you that, I'm burning a bridge. You said it yourself. They're lying. And if they get away with it, who's next? He didn't respond right away. Then finally, check your inbox in an hour. What Carter sent me was gold. Internal logs. Git commit histories. File access timestamps. I dug through every line. And sure enough, 2 weeks after I left, someone copied parts of my original code, renamed the scripts and started tweaking things. Poorly. They introduced bugs, broke dependencies, and kept using my name in the metadata. The edit history showed it all. And the person who did it. Tom. The same Tom who messaged me on LinkedIn pretending to be a transition consultant. The same guy who tried to get me on a call under the pretense of professional courtesy. Turns out Tom wasn't just a contractor. He was Brennan's college friend. A guy Brennan hired quietly before he got fired. Brought in under the radar to help fix the mess. Except Tom didn't know what he was doing. So he tried to reverse engineer my tools, failed miserably, and started corrupting live data. Then, instead of owning it, he tried to hide the damage by making it look like the errors were baked into the system from the start. Which meant pointing the finger at me. I gathered everything. The access logs. The timestamps. The email from Tom. The LinkedIn messages. The original code I built. With proof of creation dates, clean histories, and comments in my own format. Then I emailed the company's legal department. Subject. Regarding system misuse and false attribution of code, I didn't threaten. I didn't curse. I laid out the facts one by one. Attached the files. CC'd HR. CC'd their director of compliance. I gave them 48 hours to correct the narrative. Or I'd file a formal complaint with the Ohio State Bar and the Department of Labor. I got a call the next day. From the head of HR. Very polite. Very nervous. She said they'd reviewed my claims and recognized discrepancies. She asked if I'd be willing to speak to the internal audit committee to clear things up. I said no. I told her everything I had was in the email. Everything I said could be verified with file logs. Then I asked one question. Was Brennan the one who hired Tom? She paused. Yes. But Mr. Devlin is no longer with the company. I smiled. I know. Carter called me that night. They're imploding, man. What happened? They called Tom into a meeting. Fired him on the spot. No notice. Just packed up his stuff and walked him out. What about the audit? They're going full scorched earth. VP of Ops just ordered a forensic review of everything Brennan touched. Then he said something that stuck with me. Dude, you didn't just walk out. You pulled the pin and then walked out. The next day, Sasha messaged me. She said she was offered Brennan's old position. She turned it down. Said she didn't want to become like him. Instead, she asked if I'd be open to consulting with the company. Not for free, to help rebuild the system the right way, under her lead. I told her I'd think about it. But in truth, I already knew my answer. I took a week before replying to Sasha. Not because I needed time. I just wanted them to sweat a little longer. When I finally replied, I said I'd consider consulting. Under one condition. Everything I said would go through legal. All of it documented in writing with my own contract. My rate. $275 per hour. Minimum 40 hours. Paid up front. They agreed. Desperation makes companies very agreeable. The first day back I wasn't on site. This was all remote. Zoom and secure file access only. But the second I logged in, I could feel the tension through the screen. Sasha was calm. She'd stepped up fast. I could tell she was serious about fixing the mess. But the others? Everyone looked like they were walking on a frozen lake, afraid it'd crack. I was introduced as a returning advisor to help repair legacy systems. No mention of Brennan. No mention of Tom. But everyone knew. For the next 4 weeks, I worked through the system, this time building it for real sustainability. Everything was clean, open, and documented in plain English. I trained the team. I gave Sasha full control. I rebuilt the data tools and simplified the pipeline so that even junior analysts could use them. But behind the scenes, I was still pulling strings. I asked Carter to send me the final audit summary. It wasn't public yet, but what I read made me smile. The audit confirmed Brennan had been taking credit for work he didn't understand. He hired Tom without vetting or approval. Tom created destructive code and tried to shift blame onto me. Brennan knew. He tried to cover it up. The final recommendation from the audit committee? File a formal ethics complaint with the state board. Ban Brennan from future management roles within the company. Seek restitution from Tom for contractor overpayment. Oh, and refer Brennan's behavior to a legal review for misrepresentation and breach of internal code of conduct. I didn't stop there. Using LinkedIn, I created a burner profile, a fake recruiter, and reached out to Tom. I said I was hiring for a tech consulting firm and saw his experience working on automation systems at a regional insurance company. Tom replied in 10 minutes. Said he led back-end rebuilds, trained junior analysts, and cleaned up old code after a rogue employee nearly destroyed the pipeline. I screenshotted the whole exchange. Then I sent it to the company's legal department, marked for review fraudulent representation. That was enough to get a real legal notice sent to Tom. This time from the company. He went silent after that. Deleted his LinkedIn within 48 hours. As for Brennan, he popped up 6 months later on a networking site for consultants. Said he was seeking strategic leadership opportunities in tech-forward spaces. I submitted a detailed anonymous report using the site's fraud tip line, linking to the public audit report, which Sasha had finally pushed to release inside the company's annual compliance summary. 2 weeks later, his profile was gone. Word gets around. Back on my side, Sasha sent me one last message after our contract wrapped up. I made you a new folder. Shared it with the team. It's labeled Ethan System. Do not touch without understanding. I laughed. Not bad for someone they called forgettable. I don't think about Brennan much anymore. Or Tom. Or that building off 670 where I used to eat sad microwave lunches alone in a break room. But sometimes when I open my inbox and see a junior analyst asking a smart question about something I built, and I can actually answer it because it's all finally documented and respected, I smile a little. Not because I got revenge, but because I made it so no one else would have to go through what I did. Still, there's something satisfying about the silence after an explosion, especially when you were the one who lit the fuse.